So here I am back in the studio with my FPV quadcopter in my hands. This is the iFlight Titan DC5 FPV drone. It's made for the DJI FPV system and it's a pre-built configuration from iFlight. This is the drone that I have selected to use. And unfortunately, I need to start with something negative. As you might have noticed in the footage from the quadcopter itself, which was taken with this camera right here, this is the DJI Air unit, there was a little bit of twitching and shakiness due to some vibrations. I didn't notice any vibrations during my flight and everything seemed okay, so I was really surprised to come back home and look at the footage itself, and I noticed that shakiness, those vibrations. And of course, I immediately reached out to iFlight to ask them what's wrong with the footage, because normally it shouldn't do that. Things like these happen all the time, and especially with small pieces of electronics such as these ones right here, it's to be expected. Fortunately though, 12 hours after reaching out to iFlight to ask them what's wrong with my drone, they already responded. They watched the video that I sent them. They were able to find the problem, and unfortunately it's the flight controller. So they are shipping a new one to me as we speak, so that's quite nice from them to be so quick. And they asked me not to fly the drone until I get my new flight controller, so I will listen to them and wait until it arrives. But for now, I can share my first impressions of flying my FPV quadcopter, and man, oh man, I am so impressed. I mean, even though I had some issues with the flight controller and the shaky footage, when I was flying and watching through the goggles, let me tell you, the DJI FPV goggles are just amazing. Everything you see is just crystal clear, everything is nice, saturated, you have so many details on the screen. You see everything. And unfortunately, I don't think I have selected the right place to go for my first flight, or at least it's not very interesting to show you, because I went to a completely empty field with nothing on it. I wanted to, of course, avoid any obstacle possible, even though I have some experience with flying on a simulator. Let me tell you, it's nothing like flying on a simulator. It was so windy, so the drone was not perfectly stable. Of course, it was drifting a bit from the wind, and it was going left and right, struggling with the wind. And generally, as my first ever flight with this beast, I didn't want to risk it, so of course I went to a completely empty field. And it's not really interesting to show you all of my flights, but I managed to fly for 5 packs, which was roughly half an hour in the air with this one. And yeah, it's a whole new world. It's so different from anything else I've ever tried. And I have to say, I'm completely hooked. The worst thing is that now I have to wait until this new flight controller comes and I have to replace it myself. But I am so eager to get back in the air and fly with this a lot more, as it was just a whole new experience. It was so liberating, so amazing to be in the air with this drone and just watching through the goggles. You really feel like a bird. I definitely think this transfers you into a whole new dimension where you can actually feel like you're flying. And I know it might seem very funny to some of you guys who have flown before, but for my first ever FPV flight, it was just spectacular. It was just amazing. And my general impressions of this quadcopter is that it's great. It was smooth. It was reacting well to my controls, to the sticks. And generally, I really think it's going to be hard to go back to flying regular drones from now on, because this gives you so much power, so much control, that when you go back to a DJI drone, for example, it's going to feel extremely slow and very boring. But yeah, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop flying DJI drones.
So.
What? Siri has just turned on. Anyway, she doesn't matter. But yeah, as I was saying, my first ever flight was full of adrenaline, full of emotions, and Luckily, I didn't crash. I was very close to crashing, but I didn't. I hope you can understand, but I didn't really want to put my Osmo Action on top of that drone for my first ever flight. I wanted to be sure that I know how it's going to react to my controls, to my movements, and I just wanted to get to know the drone first, and then once I get a bit better, get more familiar with how it moves around, I will put my Osmo Action, or I might even go and buy the GoPro Hero 8 Black, as I know it's going to be a bit better than the Osmo Action for these action shots. But with that being said, these are my first impressions of flying with the iFlight Titan DC5. Like I said, it was a whole new world, and I'm really excited to bring you more FPV content on the Drone Supremacy channel. If you are excited as well, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Like I said, I'm not going to stop with regular DJI drones and other drone related content, but FPV is also going to be very much present on this channel from now on. So with that being said, thank you so much for your support. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy, or should I say FPV Supremacy? No, not yet. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.